Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a single battle that, believe it or not, threw open the gates to a new empire and kicked off a clash of civilizations that would echo for centuries. We're talking about the Battle of Manzikert.
So, how can a smaller, scrappier army take down a massive empire? It's not just a hypothetical question. It actually happened at Manzikert, and the consequences of that day are still felt today. To see how it all unfolded, we need to understand the two powers that were on a collision course.
All right, so to really get what's going on, we have to look at the two major players here in the 11th century. These two massive empires were headed straight for each other, and wow, they could not have been more different.
On one side, you've got the Byzantine Empire, the heir to Rome. Still a big deal, of course, but it was kind of rotting from the inside. We're talking constant political drama, revolts over insane taxes, just a mess. And facing them, the Seljuk Sultanate. These guys were the opposite, hungry, united, and a rising military power dead set on expanding their territory.
And as it so often happens in history, this whole massive conflict really boils down to two guys, two powerful leaders whose personal ambitions were about to slam into each other on the battlefield.
So you have the Byzantine Emperor, Romanos Diogenes. For him, this was everything. His whole mission, his entire legacy, was about driving the Seljuk Turks out of Anatolia for good. The stability of his empire, and frankly, his own job, were on the line.
And his rival, the Seljuk leader Sultan Alp Arslan, was just as fired up. This quote, it tells you everything you need to know about his mindset. This wasn't just about defending his borders. This was about absolute victory.
So, let's look at how this all went down. In the spring of 1071, Emperor Diogenes starts marching from Constantinople with this huge army. Alp Arslan actually hears about it while he's busy campaigning down in Syria. So what does he do? He makes a snap decision, pivots his entire army, and races north to meet the threat. By late August, the stage was set near a little town called Manzikert.
And that brings us to the day itself, Friday, August 26, 71, a day that would go down in history.
Okay, so right before the fighting starts, Alp Arslan does something amazing. He gives this incredible speech. And just think about the psychology here. He's not just shouting orders, he's creating a powerful bond, telling his men, you're here by choice, not command. You can just imagine the effect that had. Absolutely electric.
This is where things get really clever. The Seljuks unleashed this legendary strategy known as the Turan tactic. Let's break it down. First, their light cavalry pretended to run away. Classic move, right? This baited the heavier, slower Byzantine army to chase after them, getting them all strung out and disorganized. Then, once the trap was sprung, hidden Seljuk forces just swept in from the sides, creating a crescent that completely surrounded and crushed them. Brilliant.
So you might be thinking, how did one brilliant move completely wreck a massive army? Well, the truth is, it wasn't just the tactic. A few other key things had to fall into place perfectly for the Seljuks.
It was really like a perfect storm. Yeah, the turn tactic was genius, but the real knockout blow, it came when the Byzantines' own Turkic mercenaries, these guys called the Uz and Pechenegs, saw other Turks on the opposing side and just switched teams. Mid-battle, you combine that betrayal with the sky-high morale of the Seljuks and a totally dysfunctional Byzantine command, and you've got a recipe for absolute disaster.
And this chart right here, it just sums it all up perfectly. The Byzantine army was huge, sure, but it was also slow, clumsy, just cumbersome. The Seljuks, smaller, yeah, but they were fast, they were agile, and they were all fighting for one leader. On this day, quick and clever, totally beat big and slow.
But the end of the battle, wow, that was really just the beginning of the story. Its impact would literally change the map of the world.
So get this. In a twist you couldn't make up, the emperor of the Byzantine Empire is captured alive. But what happens next is even crazier. Instead of executing him, which you might expect, Alp Arslan treats him with full honors, like a guest, and starts talking about a peace deal.
Which really makes you wonder, right? Why treat your biggest rival like an honored guest? Was he just being a good guy? Or was this a calculated, strategic move to get a better treaty and avoid a long, drawn-out war? It really shows that Alp Arslan was as sharp a diplomat as he was a general.
And the long-term effects of this one day, they were absolutely massive. We're talking about ripples that spread for centuries. With the Byzantine army in shambles, the door to Anatolia was just kicked wide open for Turkish settlement. This laid the groundwork for what we now know as Turkey. And meanwhile, news of this crushing defeat sent a wave of panic across Europe, and it became one of the main reasons for the First Crusade.
And this whole idea of an open door, it's so powerful that it's actually carved in stone. The Manzikert Victory Monument, those two huge columns you see, they are literally meant to be the gates to Anatolia, now open.
And that really brings us full circle back to that big question. How much can a single day really matter? Well, the Battle of Manzikert proves, without a doubt, that sometimes one Friday on one battlefield can genuinely change the world forever.